A friend of mine told me that every guy who talks to me, asks me questions, or keeps the conversation going is obviously interested in me. He suggested that when a guy acts friendly towards a girl, it usually means he is interested in her either sexually or romantically. He also mentioned that girls can only have genuine male friends if they are gay. Is that true? I have had interesting conversations with many guys on a friendship level, and I have never really considered that they might be talking to me because they are interested in me. Am I naive for thinking that? Does that mean that if I am in a relationship, I should not talk to any guy who approaches me? For context, I am a 26-year-old female. I am referring to people I have known for some time or who are in the same friend group, not random strangers. I understand that random people who approach me at a party will likely be interested in me, though that can vary. Additionally, I should mention that yes, the male friend I am talking about is interested in me and is not gay. Story 1. Most men who approach you randomly find you attractive on some level. Many of the replies in this discussion are quite optimistic about the idea that it's probably just friendly. But honestly, if random male attention were entirely platonic, why do women receive it far more often than other men? The answer is that the attention is not platonic at all. Story 2. Would you only talk to women you are interested in? No, I talk to women when I have a reason to. The topics of conversation, duration, and whether this occurs again depend on my interest in her. Story 3. A friend of mine told me that every guy who talks to me, asks me questions, or keeps the conversation going is obviously interested in me. This means that when a guy acts friendly toward a girl, it automatically indicates he is interested in her either sexually or romantically. He also mentioned that girls can only have genuine male friends if they are gay. Story 4. You are clearly young and some of the things being said are wrong. Men and women can be friends, obviously. It is not a straightforward answer. People are complicated. That said, if you are an attractive woman, particularly in your early 20s, most men who talk to you will hold some sort of sexual or relationship interest. You will have doors open for you, many people will be nice, and you might be offered jobs and opportunities. This is the prime time for you. You have the privilege of being young and attractive. Almost every attractive woman I have dated has had at least one male admirer who I could clearly see secretly loved her. The woman in every case did not see it at all, and he was just the great friend who is always there for her. Story 5. Honestly, I am shy and awkward. I tend to talk only to those I am not interested in. The ones I fancy receive my best mumbling and avoidance of eye contact. Story 6. This is especially true when you are younger. As you mature and men become less obsessed with sex, a genuine male-female friendship is more likely. That said, some of the best relationships stem from that kind of friendship. It is complicated. Story 7. 10 Run historical sip tidy numerous kiss secretive squeeze exultant. Story 8. I am friendly with everyone, but I do not engage in deep conversations with most women unless they are a few select relatives or professional acquaintances. This is not intentional. I simply have no genuine interest in platonic friendships with most women. Many of us feel this way, making it difficult to understand that not all men share the same perspective when they interact with women. Story 9. As a general rule, there are two kinds of friendships. I'm going to call them the male kind and the female kind. Male friendships tend to be based around a specific shared activity. Men generally communicate with their friends to accomplish a shared goal. Even if the goal is trivial, they typically focus on the activity itself. Any conversation about non-activity topics often remains incidental. Male friendships are rooted in communication about activities. Female friendships, on the other hand, emphasize communication for its own sake. Conversations revolve around finding out what's happening in each other's lives. This type of communication strengthens female friendships and deepens those bonds over time. Males bond over doing while females bond over communicating. Both genders can have friends of both types, but as a general rule, women tend to have more female-type friendships and men more male-type friendships. A point of confusion arises because most men have one significant female-type friendship in their lives, which is typically their romantic partner. What often occurs is that a woman seeks friendship with a man and attempts to form a female-type friendship with him, as that is her understanding of friendship. For him, however, this resembles a romantic relationship. His other male friends bond over shared activities, while she is engaging in conversation for its own sake, leading him to perceive it as a romantic connection. The opposite can also happen. He may approach her with the intent of having a friendly conversation, interpreting it as a romantic interest, while she perceives it simply as friendliness. It is important to note that this is not an absolute rule but rather a general trend. Most men do not approach other men to engage in conversation, ask questions, and maintain dialogue for the purpose of friendship. Personally, I have never experienced a man approaching me for that reason. Every male friend I have ever made has resulted from engaging in some kind of activity, such as an amateur soccer team, a tabletop role-playing game group, work, or a school project. We collaborate on a task and then develop a friendship from that experience. Story 10. People in the comments saying, "Not true all the time." Yes, but it is most certainly true most of the time. Pretending that the exceptions to the rule invalidate the overwhelming majority of cases isn't useful to the original poster. It is confusing for her. If some random person keeps finding ways to continue the conversation, they probably like you. Guys very rarely do that kind of thing with other guys. If this is a semi-consistent occurrence for you, you are either a statistical anomaly or they want something. Story 11. Depends, to be honest. I'm engaged and come from an extroverted family, so I learn to talk to everyone all the time about anything, because the world is a friendly place if you let it be. I have been mistaken for flirting before. When I was single, if I acted as described in this post, it was probably due to at least a passing level of attraction. Story 12. I talk to people because it is enjoyable to get to know them, regardless of whether I find them attractive or not. Story 13. Clearly, your male friend is interested in you, but he is somewhat difficult. Many of us talk to women simply because they are often interesting people, even if we do not seek a romantic relationship. Story 14. You need better male friends. It seems like your male friend was revealing something about himself, right? Story 15. Dudes approach girls they are attracted to. A dude who is friends with a girl doesn't mean he wants to or is actively trying to pursue her, but if she initiates, he will almost always be open to it. These are the basic principles. Regarding relationships, as long as you understand that a dude is approaching you because he is attracted to you, you can respond however you wish. Be kind, set boundaries, or whatever feels right. But these are the underlying truths. Story 16. He definitely has a point. Unfortunately, men, more so than women, often won't interact with women as friends if there is no attraction. Therefore, if multiple men are engaging in conversation with you, it is a very good sign that you are attractive. Story 17. I have around 5 really close friends, and out of those, 3 are women. We have been friends for about 15 years, and I have never been sexually interested in them. Additionally, I am not gay. Story 18. I would talk to a girl I'm not interested in as I would talk to anyone during a conversation. However, I would not start a conversation with a girl I didn't know or spend time with her if I wasn't interested. Story 19. One of my closest friends is a woman. We took a course together and worked well as a team, so we have stayed in touch. She understands aspects of my work that people who have not worked in the field do not grasp, making her a good person to talk to. She is attractive, smart, and kind, but even if I were single, I do not think anything would happen between us. There are aspects that make us good friends but would not work in a romantic relationship. Men and women can simply be friends. Story 20. No. Sometimes I talk to people because I enjoy conversations with my fellow humans. I talk to older women sometimes, and I'm definitely not trying to pursue a romantic relationship with them. If it's as part of a hobby group or in another situation where I might find people I share interests with and have reason to believe could be friends, I will absolutely talk to a woman even if I'm not romantically interested in her. That said, there are environments where the expectation when you talk to someone is that you're interested in them, and in those cases, I would be unlikely to start a conversation unless that were true. Story 21. Generally, the more attractive you are, the more this is true. I don't think there is any surefire way of knowing. Story 22. As everyone else has pointed out, there is quite a bit of nuance here. That being said, consider this. I'm sure you've heard people complaining that men think every woman who smiles at them is flirting, including cashiers, waitresses, and others. The reason many men perceive friendly interactions as flirting is that this is exactly what those men would mean if the situation were reversed. In other words, it is common to encounter men who are overly pleasant and smiley to women they are interested in, so they immediately assume that women being friendly to them means the same thing. It's not that every guy being friendly and engaging is trying to or hoping to get with their female friends, but a significant number absolutely are. Story 23. I am a friendly person and will talk to people if there is a reason to engage with them. However, the only time I truly go out of my way to talk to someone outside of work and without a specific reason is when I am attracted to them. Story 24. Here's my honest opinion. I'm a pleasant guy and will be nice to everyone. The difference is, if I find a girl attractive, I will make more of an effort to be nice, helpful, and develop the friendship. The more the friendship grows, the more I like you because I already find you attractive, but now I enjoy your personality. If I do not find a girl attractive, I will still be nice and pleasant, but I probably won't make as much effort to progress the friendship through hanging out or texting. My point is, from my perspective, if a guy you are not dating is texting you often, doing nice things for you, and asking to hang out even just as friends, it is very likely he is interested in you. Story 25. I am old and cannot speak for young men today, but even when I was younger, I would talk to and be nice to almost anyone. It is a sad way to live your life if you only talk to women you find attractive. Story 26. It sounds like the person telling you this is trying to convince you not to talk to men who approach you because he is afraid that once you get to know them better, you might like them and start dating. If he is interested in you, he will say whatever he thinks may convince you to be wary of any man who talks to you. Men who take an interest in a woman will want to get to know her better. Some may be looking for a good time, while others may truly want to see if you have enough in common to spend more time together. Some may simply enjoy your company and personality and want a friendship. Many women feel the same way. They may be looking for a man for fun, or someone who could eventually become more than just an acquaintance. Unfortunately, many people have a distorted viewpoint that men and women cannot just be good friends platonically unless one is heterosexual and the other is homosexual. Many relationships for both genders sour when one partner believes that men and women cannot just be good friends. This mindset can lead to jealousy, assumptions of cheating, and, in some cases, attempts to control their partner by preventing them from communicating with members of the opposite sex. Story 27. Completely depends on context. If a man approaches you and talks to you at a bar, the intentions are fairly obvious compared to someone, regardless of age, who approaches you and talks to you after a college class. In that situation, it is less clear. There could be romantic intentions or simply an interest in talking. Regarding your friend's comment, I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all situation. However, if I had to express whether there is any type of attraction towards a man's female friends, I would bet it is more than 50-50. Generally, people tend to be friends with those they have something in common with, which can lend itself to attraction to some extent. However, it would be unreasonable to say that men are only friends with women because they are attracted to them. It is more reasonable to suggest that attraction can be a byproduct of that friendship. Story 28. It's the same with the question, do you believe men can be platonic friends with women? When someone gives you an answer, they are talking more about themselves than about everyone else. Each person has their own answer, and it is the kind of thing that varies on an individual basis. Story 29. With men, your mileage may vary. I will happily, and I have, going back to high school, I am 58 now, so it's a long-term trend, spend an evening chatting with a girl without any intention or interest in going home with her or dating her. I just like talking to people and have a natural curiosity about the folks around me. When I was younger, I often did not act on this, mostly because of misperception and because I did not want to come across as inappropriate. I am genuinely curious about people. But if I approached you at a party and started talking, it is simply because I want to engage in conversation. Story 30. No, why can't we just have a conversation with someone of the opposite sex? Why are we cutting ourselves off from half the human population? You will easily notice if he is into you or not. The conversations are quite different. Story 31. If someone you don't know is showing interest, they are likely into you. There is such a thing as a genuine friendship with a straight man, but it is very rare. Generally, what he told you is true. Story 32. Not true at all. I speak to plenty of women I'm not interested in. I engage in conversation with women in common spaces, even if I'm not interested, such as in an elevator. That said, if you're being approached randomly, it's fairly likely the man is interested. Story 33. If I were single and in a group of friends, I would likely aim to talk more to the girls I found attractive who were not obviously in a relationship. This doesn't mean I wouldn't talk to anyone else, but in a social setting, I would probably focus on chatting with the attractive girls. Story 34. I think your friend is not thinking clearly. If you are physically attractive, most guys would be willing to pursue a sexual or romantic relationship with you if you wanted to, assuming they are single or willing to cheat on their significant other. However, that is not the same as only talking to you because they are looking for such a relationship. If a guy is not interested in being just a friend, he will eventually stop talking to you. It is not your responsibility to cut all male friends out of your life because they might be interested in you. It is up to them to either take a chance and accept your answer or decide they would rather not continue a relationship that is less than what they were hoping for. Story 35. If it's people you already know, then it's nothing like that. If we start thinking that all guys want something from you because they talk to you, then we're really creating a toxic society. I often talk and spend time with friends, significant others, coworkers, and acquaintances, even if they happen to be of the opposite gender. However, if we are discussing strangers approaching you in public, then it's quite a bit more likely. I doubt they would take the effort to approach you, but it really depends on the situation. If the social context makes conversations easy or if it feels more forced. Story 36. Context matters. As a single female nurse practitioner in a teaching hospital, a doctor would often say, "Let's grab coffee or lunch and discuss this patient." I disliked that many of them felt compelled during a business conversation to tell me, "I'm married," and I would have to respond, "I'm a widow. Who wins?" I detest the assumptions listed by some individuals because many men believe they are true. In a work context, buying a colleague coffee often comes with the unnecessary counter, "I'm married." I sometimes feel like wearing a sign that says, "I find people interesting. I'm not hitting on you." Story 37. I dislike responding to questions on Ask Men, so I apologize, but I need to comment on this one. I would also appreciate a male opinion on this comment. You can have male friends, and not all of them would necessarily be interested in you. Here are a couple of details to keep in mind based on my experience. 1. Pure, sibling-like friendship mostly works between people who have known each other since childhood. Under the right combination of circumstances, most of your male friends could be interested in you. This includes various situations, from you willingly participating and him secretly desiring it for years, to casual encounters influenced by alcohol or simply for fun. The fact that he might enjoy being with you doesn't indicate that he sees you as more than a friend. Men can engage with friends while being hopelessly in love with another woman and indifferent to your feelings for someone else. Some women can be like that too, but in my opinion, we tend to be more analytical and prone to relationship-like behaviors in these situations. Not everyone has a crush on you, nor does everyone find you attractive, but if you are wondering whether he has a crush or thinks you are attractive, it is likely that he does. I have been in situations where I wondered, and it turned out that the guy was actually very interested long before I realized it. This has applied to my friends, boyfriends, work colleagues, and the man I am married to and plan to grow old with. Story 38. I definitely talk to a lot of girls I'm not interested in. If he finds reasons to touch you, he is likely into you. I know guys who pretend to just be huggers, but every man is raised to respect a woman's personal space. He's not just a hugger. He has found a justification to constantly touch you. If he is constantly complimenting your looks, he is into you. It's one thing if you dye or cut your hair or wear something flashy, but if he consistently compliments you, he is interested. If he is criticizing your boyfriend or a close male friend he might view as competition, he is probably into you. When a female friend complains about her relationship to me, I try to be supportive and build her up rather than tearing down the guy. There are two possibilities. Either she stays with him or she doesn't. If you criticize the guy and she stays with him, you jeopardize the friendship. This behavior only makes sense if you are not content with being just friends. It is also one of the most disrespectful things a man can do to another man. Men are different, but if you compare how he treats you to how he treats women he is definitely not interested in, it can reveal whether his behavior indicates interest in you. If he only acts this way toward you or conventionally attractive women, there is a reason for that. Story 39. It's the kind of thinking that foolish individuals use when they ignore me, as I try to inform them that their gloves have fallen from their pockets while I attempt to return them. This has happened twice. Please don't be that person. Story 40. No, because I just like talking to people. However, if I find the person attractive, then I will be friendlier, joke around, and have a longer conversation. If it's just someone at the market, I will move on with my day more quickly. Story 41. Talk to. I speak with women every day. I don't plan to pursue them, even if I'm attracted to them. However, any man who goes out of his way to speak to a woman outside of work and without a legitimate reason for approaching her is likely interested romantically. You can find out by simply making a move on that friend. It doesn't need to be overtly sexual and could even be disguised as a joke. That will reveal if your friend has no romantic interest. Story 42. Jesus, this whole thread is depressing. You know what one of the coolest things about being postmenopausal is? Having gray hair and wrinkles on my face. Not looking at all like a sexual being. Older people can be sexual. It just isn't obvious in the usual media-friendly ways. We hang out with each other as people. We're friends as one human to another, not defined by gender. We don't worry about this stuff, and let me tell you, it is so freeing. There's all this energy and affection that doesn't get tangled up in romantic interests, and we can use it to care about and support each other and get things done. I wish we could share some of this peace and contentment with young people. Story 43. My perspective is this: a relationship is essentially friendship plus sex. Often, if a man is good friends with you, he is likely to wonder about sexual compatibility. Making friends is easy, but finding a relationship is hard. There is a reason we refer to the love of our lives as the one. Everyone is constantly searching for that until they find it. However, I believe men and women can be friends once it has been established that sex is off the table. Being gay is one way to achieve this, but there are others. I have become friends with many of my buddies' girlfriends because I know I would never betray them. I also became friends with my former boss who was married. However, I would never throw away a lottery ticket until I am sure it does not have winning numbers, so to speak. Story 44. If someone approaches you in a random place, such as a shop or a bar, they likely find you attractive and may want to pursue a romantic relationship, which might not have happened otherwise. If you meet during a social activity, such as game night, through a mutual friend at a party, or in dance classes, the connection could lead to genuine friendship or still remain a romantic interest. In summary, if there was a specific reason for them to speak with you beforehand, it suggests a more sincere intent. Otherwise, their motivation may simply be physical attraction. Story 45. It's true. Just because we find you interesting or attractive doesn't mean we want to be intimate. The bar for men is so low that we are pretty much interested in anyone. However, I'm not going to talk to someone who is boring and with whom I have no interest. Contrary to popular belief, you can be friends with someone you like if you do not have the mentality of an 18-year-old. Story 46. Men and women can be friends only if there is no real attraction or if they are unavailable. I have a couple of female friends with whom I have no sexual interest. One is a friend's ex-girlfriend, and I enjoy playing with her dog. The other is an old coworker who is 10 years older than I am. She is still attractive, but she feels more like a quirky aunt. I initially befriended her as an experiment to improve my ability to talk to attractive women. She was attractive enough to make me nervous while also being safe since I wasn't really interested in her romantically. Story 47. Oh, they all want to be intimate with you. Unless they have to talk to you for some other reason, such as being a coworker, the girlfriend of a friend, or a customer. But they may want to be intimate with you as well. We just want to be intimate. Story 48. I cannot speak for every man, but I am not actively looking for platonic friendships with women. I am friendly regardless of how a woman looks, but I invest more effort into a conversation with a woman I am interested in. Story 49. If we are not family, friends, or colleagues, why would I waste my time on someone I am not interested in? Story 50. No, it's nonsense. Assuming you have a reason to be talking, such as at work, a hobby, friends, or something similar. If he approached you for no reason, then some level of attraction is likely to be present. Story 51. A friend of mine told me that every guy who talks to me, asks me questions, or keeps the conversation going is obviously interested in me. This is probably true for over 80% of random interactions with men, except in cases with significant age gaps where it can vary. He also mentioned that girls can only have genuine friendships with men if they are gay. While this isn't entirely accurate, there is some truth to it. If one or both individuals are unavailable, it is much easier to maintain a friendship. However, if both are single, a man's attraction to a woman can grow over time. Additionally, it's important to note that the word friend can have different meanings for different people. Story 52. I think people who engage in a conversation generally have some interest in the person they are talking to. However, there are many different kinds of interest. For example, there can be romantic, sexual, platonic interest, or even just a mutual interest in a certain topic that both people enjoy discussing. So, yes, I would say there is usually some interest, but that does not mean there is always romantic or sexual interest. Like anything else you want to know about someone, discovering what type of interest motivates them to enjoy a conversation with you would require asking. Story 53. More often than not, yes. Depending on the context and what is being discussed, asking for directions or inquiring about something could be innocent. However, if you are meeting in a group regarding a hobby, it usually stems from genuine interest. Story 54. I talk to girls that I find interesting, and they actually make an effort to keep the conversation going by suggesting topics, initiating discussions, and following up. It is true that a meaningful friendship can be achieved between a man and a woman, but sexual attraction must be completely removed from the equation for that to happen. Being attracted to the same sex can sometimes serve as an alternative way to establish a close friendship. If they continue to engage with you, especially when you are not particularly interested in the conversation, it is likely that they are at least somewhat interested in you romantically or sexually. Story 50. I don't have female friends for this reason, and she doesn't have male friends. It's not about trust. It's about being honest about human nature. Most of these guys would ask you out if they had the courage and you gave them a signal of interest. Life isn't fair. Story 56. I mean, given that this was said to you by a male friend, the obvious question to ask is whether this applies to him as well. If it doesn't because he's an exception, then that means there will be other exceptions. Story 57. I had a friend who once told me that he only talked to girls he found attractive and would consider dating. If he decided he did not want to date them, he would stop talking to them altogether. Story 58. No, that is not the case. I will talk to anyone who is willing to hold a conversation with me, simply because people are usually more interesting than you might think at first glance. Story 59. I act friendly, however, I am genuinely interested in what I ask and do not have hidden motives. Additionally, the statement that girls can only have genuine male friends if they are gay does not seem accurate. Story 60. You can generally assume that any straight single man who approaches you without a clear reason for needing your attention and continues the conversation beyond what is necessary, asking questions to learn about you, sharing information about himself, and so on, has a sexual or romantic interest in you. In most cases, he will have noted your physical attractiveness and is probing, so to speak, to assess his chances. He might be doing this with multiple women simultaneously, assuming he is single and looking for a relationship or physical companionship. That being said, do not view this as diminishing your value as a person. Rather, see it as a bonus. If you are physically attractive, many men will approach you and initiate contact due to that attraction, but this merely presents an opportunity for them to get to know you as a person. This does not mean that friendships cannot develop. Speaking from personal experience, when I was engaging in such probing, I might have discovered early on that she was taken, uninterested, or clearly incompatible with me, which would end the romantic intentions. However, on more than a few occasions, we continued talking because we found each other interesting for other reasons and became friends. Men are certainly capable of forming friendships with women. Yes, we may often begin talking to a particular woman because we find her attractive, but that is not the only reason we continue the conversation. We can have genuine female friends because, at least for me, unreciprocated infatuation will quickly fade, allowing me to develop a true platonic friendship without romantic intentions involved. Therefore, I would not agree with your friend that men and women cannot be genuine friends. This also does not invalidate the male friendships you currently have. Just keep in mind that most or even all of them may have been physically attracted to you in the past, even if they have set that thought aside afterward. It is not your responsibility to bring it up. It is theirs. If they have kept it to themselves, then it should remain buried. Regarding the idea of not speaking to men who approach you while you are in a relationship, I do not see why you would impose such a restriction on yourself. If they are clearly single, look for signs of their interest and, if they make their intentions known, inform them that you are unavailable. That's all. If they continue to be pushy after that, that is a problem, but most should back off and seek someone who is available. Story 61. I have been through a difficult upbringing in an abusive household. If I am kind to you, it's because that's all I know after my experiences. Honestly, I would love to have platonic friendships with women, but many of them either have boyfriends, think I am interested in them, which is absolutely not true, or since I just moved, we slowly lose contact and drift apart. At this point, I don't even try, and it's quite frustrating whenever someone thinks I have romantic intentions just because I am nice. In reality, I have absolutely no interest in that. Story 62. Very good question, as this is debated a lot in general. The truth is I would personally talk to women if I find them interesting as individuals, whether it be platonic interest or if I have any sexual or romantic interest. It's very possible for straight men and straight women to be genuine friends. However, most opposite gender friendships tend to be based on some sort of personal romantic or sexual interest. I'm always honest with my intentions, which is why I have genuine friendships and relationships. This is why men should be honest and direct with their intentions when interacting with women. There wouldn't be any issues if that were the case. I'm a bisexual man with several great friends, both men and women, with whom my relationships are strictly platonic, while there are also men and women with whom I have other interests. In the end, always ensure that both parties are honest and genuine with each other to understand why they approached or engaged in conversation in the first place. I wish you the best in your interactions. Story 63. I am a man, and the majority of my friends are women. I am not romantically interested in any of them, and I am also not gay. I believe it is healthy to have a good mix of genders in your circle of friends. That said, I understand this is the exception. I think most men do not know how to make or maintain friendships with women. Therefore, the majority of random men talking to you may be romantically interested. Story 64. A woman can have plenty of male friends, but a man cannot be a friend of a woman. As a man, you carry all the responsibilities toward your female friend without any benefit. There will always be a sexual tension between a man and a woman in a friendship. I acknowledge there are exceptions. To clarify, if a woman is at least average-looking and younger, her male friends may experience unfulfilled desires around her. Story 65. Most men think in categories. The category for sexual interest is different from the category for engaging conversation, which is also different from the category for interesting individuals. Therefore, a man can talk to a woman for multiple reasons. Story 66. In most cases, a man will be interested in you if he behaves this way. Men typically do not seek female friends because they understand that once they enter a relationship, that friendship may not be able to continue easily due to jealousy and other factors. There are some exceptions, but they are rare. Therefore, if a man is friendly toward you, he is most likely interested romantically. Exceptions occur if you are in situations where it would be awkward not to be friendly, such as in a sports club, at work, or in some social settings. However, if he approaches you in public, on a train, or goes out of his way to engage with you, it indicates that he likes you. Women, however, do not need to worry. If you are in a relationship, casually mention it in the conversation as soon as you can. but do so subtly to avoid coming off as rejecting him. If you are not in a relationship but are not interested either, it can be trickier. The best approach is likely to pretend you are in a relationship, especially if it is a one-time encounter. If that does not work, be polite, smile, and respond without engaging too much, and he will likely take the hint. If you genuinely want to engage, you could mention that you are dating someone, as that would not be known to him. Story 67. Mostly true. Everyone who is saying otherwise is not being honest. There is an attraction to you on some level, but that doesn't mean you cannot become friends or that the man in question will act on it. It, of course, depends on the situation, such as at work. However, in 90% of the cases, the answer is yes. Story 68. There are individuals who approach women with the intention of pursuing a sexual encounter, but they do not represent all men. Many of us engage in conversations for the sake of engaging, enjoying thoughtful discussions, sharing different insights, or simply having some lighthearted banter. My female housemate and I have been friends for years. There is no sexual desire between us, yet we often make risque jokes. One memorable instance was during a discussion about our bills, where she was venting and I randomly interjected, "Well, if you showed some skin for the taxman, we might be paying less." Many men are not interested in pursuing a sexual or romantic relationship for various reasons. The stereotypes perpetuated by some of your friends unjustly portray men and hinder genuine connections and friendships with women. This negative view needs to be challenged. Yes, some men behave inappropriately, and yes, some objectify women. However, it is essential to recognize that many women also engage in similar behavior towards men. Story 69. Sometimes you respect the person and want to deepen a connection or show respect without ignoring them. There are many reasons why your friend is wrong, but if there's one thing that's right, it's that an assumption like theirs is a projection 99% of the time. Story 70. You are young and attractive? Yes, they are interested in you sexually. If you are older or less attractive, they are friendly towards you or possibly desperate. There is a concept referred to as 99 out of 100 cases. Can occur the other way around, but that is the general rule. Story 71. I am introverted and not a very sociable person. I do not put in much effort to talk to people or get to know them. The one exception is women I am attracted to. Story 72. How can a man be friends with an attractive woman without experiencing intrusive thoughts? The overwhelming response is that men often struggle to maintain platonic friendships with attractive women without such thoughts arising. However, it is important to note that men do not have to act on these thoughts or disclose them to anyone. Interpret that as you wish. Story 73. Why talk to a girl if I'm not interested in her? If I'm looking for friendship, a guy would be better suited for that. At least we would understand each other easily. Story 74. Not entirely true. There are men like this, but I don't know anyone like this personally. I hadn't been in a relationship since 2019, and I speak to women frequently, both for work and in personal situations. Story 75. A lot depends on the circumstances. When a man talks to you in a work setting, chances are he is just being friendly. However, if a man randomly approaches you in a bar or on the street, it is much more likely he is interested in you sexually or romantically. Men and women can certainly be friends, but it becomes more complicated if either of them is in a relationship, as their partner is unlikely to approve of even a platonic friendship. Story 76. Give a call and explain that you are feeling sad because you are now single and need a friendly shoulder. Ask if they would like to just relax and watch something together. Pay attention to their voice, the excitement, and the happiness. Then you can reflect on your own feelings. Story 77. For the most part, attraction is a factor. After that, it translates into either friendship or romantic intention. However, it is not solely about romantic intention. It is definitely possible to have platonic relationships between a man and a woman. Story 78. When I was 21 and single, I enjoyed talking to women. Now that I am married and in my 30s, I do not feel the same way. Mrs. Sledge taught me how to make mashed potatoes from scratch, but I do not have romantic feelings for her. Story 79. I am attracted to women and enjoy interacting with them. This does not mean I want to necessarily pursue anything further. Generally, from numerous discussions, I can confirm that men are attracted to women. Story 80. I used to work at the mall. I would get in early and sit on a bench watching the mall walkers. I talked to everyone. One morning, a coworker met up with me. I was conversing with an older woman in her mid-60s while I was in my early 20s. Then, another woman in her late 20s stopped and sat next to me, asking about one of the shops. As my coworker and I walked to our shop, he informed me that he couldn't talk to those people. I was confused. He explained that he only talked to people he found attractive and didn't see any point in talking to others. Like I did. Initially, I took the compliment. Then I told him he was being shallow and inconsiderate. But to answer the question, no, I talk to everyone. I enjoy meeting and talking to new people. I jokingly tell women that there are 3 reasons a man will talk to a woman. 1. He wants to be romantically involved with her. He is interested in her friend. He is not interested in women. Now, it's up to you to figure out which of these reasons apply when a man is talking to you. Story 81. So that's possibly true, but also regarding gay men. You can typically tell, but there are a few surprises mixed in. Story 82. Actually, I'm more likely to talk with someone I'm not interested in, as I might be quite nervous around those I am. Story 83. Are we talking about random strangers approaching you or people you work with or interact with in another context? Story 84. There is truth to his statements. Guys already have fewer sexual and romantic options available, so many have to take the nice guy route. Yes, many have good long-term intentions, but there are manipulators among us as well. Does that mean that if I am in a relationship, I should not talk to any guy who approaches me? You should make it clear and keep things strictly platonic from your side. As long as it is that way, there will not be any problems. However, many girls send mixed signals to their guy friends, leading them to always have crushes and desires. These friend-zoned guys serve merely as sources of sexual attention and emotional validation for these girls. This behavior is also wrong. Story 85. No, not at all. However, interested for men, at least for me, might differ from your definition. I am not trying to pursue any women at work, and when I have friendly conversations with them, there is no ulterior motive. I do find most women around my age attractive, and if any of them suggested a casual encounter this weekend, I would consider it. However, I also enjoy talking to a female coworker who is in her 60s, with no romantic or physical interest at all. This shows that I don't only engage with women I am interested in. Story 86. Most women I have been friendly with, I have done so without wanting to pursue a romantic relationship. However, it depends on the context. In a bar or club, it is almost certain that there is a desire for more than just a friendly chat. At a book club, it's possible but not as likely. A random man on the street probably has romantic intentions. However, it doesn't matter what they want from you, as it's simply conversation. Additionally, his assertion that a man can only be a genuine friend if he is gay is absurd. Story 87. Yes, I often refrain from approaching someone when feelings arise, and then they fade away. Sometimes I develop a new friendship either because I don't appreciate their behavior or because they are already in a relationship. I have a tendency to engage in a bit of sabotage if the person they are dating is not treating them well. Additionally, I am currently in a relationship, but I have made female friends without any attraction involved. It's just that it is more common for me to experience attraction. Story 88. If I'm talking to her, I'm either interested in her romantically or genuinely interested in being friends. How do I differentiate between the two? I will likely reschedule things and make time for her, in addition to providing support and attention. Story 89. Context matters for sure. At the bar, many people are primarily interested in casual interactions. However, a significant number of men enjoy engaging in conversation with an attractive woman because it is fun and flattering to be noticed. Yet, most of the time, the interaction is not very serious. Story 90. It's not universally true. I have women I have been friends with for years, and neither of us has any sexual or romantic interest in the other. On the other hand, it is true for some men. There are men who only talk to women if they are interested in sex or dating. Some men are incapable of being friends with women because they only engage with those they are sexually attracted to, but I truly believe this is a minority of men. Many guys simply enjoy a casual conversation. Distinguishing between when someone is flirty versus friendly can be tricky. Usually, if they inquire about your relationship status in a certain way or slip in compliments, it's flirting. However, it is something that everyone gets wrong at some point. Story 91. What your friend is telling you isn't true at all. I'm a 40-something straight man, and several of my closest friends are women. I think the world of them. They're all funny, smart, talented, great-looking, and fantastic people. I never considered dating any of them and, in fact, helped two of them get into relationships with the men they ended up marrying. Men and women can be genuine friends with no intentions of anything else. That said, the odds are fairly strong in your situation that men are approaching with more than friendship in mind. You may not be noticing it, but they're probably trying to figure out if they have a chance. Story 92. I talk to plenty of girls that I am not interested in. I am married, so I am not interested in any romantic relationships. I just prefer friendships with girls over friendships with guys. I'm not sure how you would distinguish between them, though. Story 93. Many men are intimidated by the women they find attractive, so they are often too scared to talk to them. It is quite easy to converse with women who do not interest you, as there is no pressure involved. As a result, I have many female friends. Story 94. A person is interested when they actually express their interest. Conversation can simply be conversation unless you are the only person the other individual talks to. Then you may notice a preference toward you. However, do not jump to conclusions. In a job setting, close proximity does not necessarily mean anything. The opposite sex is naturally attracted to the opposite sex. It is frustrating that some people perceive every opportunity as a romantic interest. Just because a man is gay does not mean he can be trusted solely based on that. There are gay men who have children. If you are in a relationship, it is important to set boundaries with male friends, keeping them separate from your relationship and maintaining privacy. This means avoiding discussions about conflicts to prevent misunderstandings that might suggest romantic feelings. Men may linger in the friend zone for years, hoping for an opportunity, while still pursuing other relationships. Additionally, it is wise to avoid close friendships at work as people can be petty. Dating in the workplace can lead to complications since you still have to work with those individuals after a relationship ends. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.